Welcome back to the channel. This game features Nigel's 7th round game in the Lloyds Bank Masters. His opponent was Stuart Conquest, who he'd played a few times before. And the game started as a Catalan that transformed into a Queen's Indian defence. The Queen comes out to pressure the Knight on d7. And Queen e8 actually threatens Knight takes e5 with a discovered attack on the Queen. So you say it was quite a quiet opening. A lot of pieces have been traded already early on. Defends the c-pawn. This is normal development. G4 is slightly weakening, allows black to push in the centre. And then bishop e5, I assume he's trying to get to d4, but it does allow black to play f6 with tempo. And here Nigel decides not to play e5, which is a bit surprising as it looks fairly natural and gains more tempo. Perhaps he wanted to keep the knight. So he plays knight to a4, threatening the rooks to c2, and obviously knight takes b2 at some point. And he looks to trade the knight, which he could have done if the knight had sat on c5. If he'd posed the question with e5. So this game looks very meandering towards a draw. Knight centralises on a good outpost. And here I think is probably probably the most critical move in the game. I think if Conquest just plays rook a c1 in this position, I think it ends up being a complete dead draw. We've asked for all the trades. I think this is, although no, it's just completely drawn. Can't see a way that either side would win. So it's a bit surprised when, well, it's a bit surprising when Conquest decided to take the a pawn, allowing the e pawn to drop and pressure to be applied to the f2 pawn. And again, white opts to trade more pieces, which is not a bad thing to try and simplify, but I think knight to c6 would have been a better option in this position. And although pieces are still coming off, I think white's got a slightly better position than he gets in the game. He's still going to lose the f pawn, but his rook's more active. Opposite colour bishops, he's still got quite good drawing chances. He plays bishop takes d5, and the trades all happen. And rook to d1 to attack the d5 pawn. This is a nice move just to attack f2 with tempo. But white takes the pawn anyway, due to the fact that if rook takes f2, then obviously rook takes c5, wins a piece. So Nigel takes the A pawn, attacking the knight as well, which has to move. And now he picks up the F pawn, so he's actually a pawn up and in a nice position, but again it still takes and win. King to h3 looks a bit of a strange move for the king going away from the centre. I think king to f3 or king to g3. Oh, well, maybe, yeah, no, king to f3 I think would have been better. Rook to b2 hitting the b pawn. I mean, king to e6 could have been played as well. The main focus is now attacking the h pawn. But the knight comes back round. I think black's winning this position. He's got to stop the pressure on the h2 pawn, and he's got not many pieces he can move at the moment. So maybe this would have been a better option for black. The engine certainly likes it. Looks like d2 was played. And here Conquest decides to take the g pawn, which I think's a mistake. Because this does allow bishop to d6, and now the h pawn can't be defended. And the white king's in a bit of a mating net. Has to play g5 to stop rook takes h2 mate. He needs to give himself the g4 square. So this is a clever move. So this hits the knight, which checks, hoping for bishop takes e7, but obviously black's not interested in that and continues his king forward. Still the looming threat of rook takes h2. And if the king can get to f3, then the mating net will be complete and there's no way for white to escape. So Conquest tries to take the pawn, but after rook takes h2, and bishop to f4, white resigns. The threat is h5 mate, and white, there's no sensible way for white to stop this apart from rook takes h7, which just loses the rook. Or if he tries rook to g5, then it's still mate with h5 check. Rook takes, rook to g3, rook to g2 check, king to h3, and king to f3, as mentioned earlier, completes the mating net. There's no way to stop rook takes h2 mate. So a good win for Nigel, who was playing quite well in this tournament. He'd had a couple of draws in the previous 2 rounds, and he was up to 5.5 out of 7. Unfortunately, the last 2 games of his tournament have not been published. I know the results were, I think he lost to Kudrin in round 8, and then he had a win in round 9, so he ended up on 6.5 out of 9, which is a good result. I think he was tied 3rd in a strong tournament that included Spassky and a few others. So Nigel was progressing nicely, and he had the zonal at Brighton at the end of the year to look forward to. I think his next tournament was the Prigozhin Memorial, which I'll cover, but there's a few miscellaneous games from 1984 as well, which I'll post up. I think there's one against John Littlewood and one Cyril game. So maybe I'll do those before the Prigozhin Memorial. Anyway, please like and subscribe, and if you enjoy the channel, any comments and suggestions would be most appreciated. Until next time, bye for now.